an amazing view, well worth the climb. Welcome to Ignite Imaginations and Sheffield Libraries Holiday from Home Workshops, Day 4. Thank you so much to everybody who's joined us and got creative in their own homes every single day this week. We really, really appreciate it. Today, we're going to be climbing our own mountains with our artist Liz, creating mountain collages with your very own climber. So we look forward to doing that with Liz in a moment. But just remember, if you have got a Children's University passport, you need to send us over your date of birth, full name and school, all to enquiries@igniteimaginations.org.uk, along with all your photographs of your creations from today's workshop. Let us know how you get on. Right, how do I get down?
Hi everyone, my name's Liz and I work as a professional artist for Ignite Imaginations, and I'm really happy that you can be joining me today. So we're going to be making our climb high workshops using lots of things that you might find around your home. So I'll give you a little example of what I've already made and then we can get cracking. So this little collage here is made using wool and an old bag from a bakery and lots of little plastic bags, tissue paper and an old tea box. And this one here is my magic mountain with my little creature that I've invented with googly eyes, and then we're going to pull this little string and watch him climb to the top of his snowy capped mountain. And this is made of scraps of felt that I had lying around the house with some paint for the background. We can pull him back down again. And this one here is a little billy goat, and I used lots of felt tip pens and different mark making techniques to design this mountain here. So it's quite simple, just using the one material as in a felt tip, and then this little goat again. I love the googly eyes. So that was just made out of a bit of card from an old recycled food packet. So we can watch him climb to the top and eat all of those flowers at the top of his summer mountain. So this is all of the materials that I've gathered for today's workshop. I've got PVA glue, some acrylic paint, but you can use whatever paint you've got in the house, felt tip pens. I've got pots of water ready and a damp cloth because it might get really messy with all of the sticking and gluing that you're going to be doing. I've got some felt and some tissue paper, some plastic bags, all of the paper packaging that is from the food waste, and some wool and a pencil and Pritt stick if you need it. And scissors, don't forget the scissors. And I've got sewing scissors and normal household scissors. Do be careful when you're using the sewing scissors because they are really sharp, so make sure that you've got somebody there with you to help you. Okay then, let's get started. Hi, so now we're ready to climb high in this workshop, and I'm going to start by using a piece of card from a recycled pizza box because it's quite thick and sturdy, so it's a better thickness for the background of your mountain range. So let's start by unpeeling it and opening it out. There we go. So it doesn't matter if you leave the edges a little bit rough or if you want to be really neat and cut a straight background, that's up to you. I'm just going to make this a little bit smaller. Okay. So now you need to grab a pencil and just draw the peak of the mountain. Don't worry about it too much because you're going to be gluing and sticking and painting all around it. So that's my outline there. So now I think it's really nice. You can choose whatever colour sky you want to have. It doesn't have to be a blue sky. I'm going to go for a really nice bright yellow sky because it's gorgeous and sunny today, and this mountain range is going to have a bit of magic to it. So I'm just going to paint all the background sky area I'm just using acrylic paint, but you can use whatever you like. You can colour it in with felt tip pens. You can collage it with different fabrics. You can use a sponge to paint with. You can sponge in patterns and maybe use fluffy clouds and glue those over the top out of pieces of wool. But we'll get to that stage later because we're going to be making this mixed media collage, which means that you're going to be using lots of different materials. So, I'll put my paintbrush into the water to give it a clean. So, a bit rough and ready, but remember it's the layering process. So you can, when the paint has dried, you can maybe put some swirly whirly felt tip clouds, or I was out in the countryside doing a social distance walk and I happened to find some sheep's wool. So I thought that might be really great to make into little fluffy clouds or something. So if you do go to the park or have a little walk around anywhere, remember that you can gather lots of things like feathers and twigs and leaves, so you can add those to your collage when you get home. Okay, so now I'm going to get really messy and sticky, and I'm going to use some PVA glue with a paintbrush. And what I'm going to do, I have decided that my mountain is going to be a beautiful, colourful, magical mountain. So I've got lots of little bits of scraps of felt, but you can use any fabric you want. And I'm just going to cut these up into just random shapes, not worry about it too much, and just begin to glue them onto my mountain to make a really happy, colourful mountain range for my climber to climb up. So let's get gluing, and I'm just going to slosh the glue all over the mountain here. Yeah, you might want to make sure that you've got a tablecloth or something covering the floor if you're working on the floor at home, or if you're working on the kitchen table, just so you don't make too much of a mess, but it doesn't matter if you do, I guess. So I'm just going to begin by layering these over the pieces of felt. Just sticking them down. And I'm using sewing scissors for this, cutting through the fabric, because they're a little bit sharper than normal scissors. So they're just easier to cut through the fabric. There we go. It doesn't matter if you get glue over the edge of the fabric either, because PVA glue dries clear, so you won't be able to see it when everything's dry. You can stick things over the top so it gives it nice texture and depth. Use your imagination as well. Think about maybe what flowers grow on your mountain, the people who live there, the animals that live there. So here, I don't know if you can see my mountain coming together with all of the layers and textures and gorgeous bright colours. I love how all of these different shapes are all coming together. Right then, so what I would like to do is have a snowy capped mountain top for my magic mountain. So I have decided that it might be nice to recycle some of these plastic bags, which I'm sure you will all have a pile of at home. So I've got like just a clear plastic bag, and I'm just going to cut it up, and it's really nice to experiment with the different textures that they all make. So maybe you could think about scrunching it up into a little ball and sticking it down like that, or you could make Rolley well, twist it around, and then maybe you could cut them so you might have some icicles or something like that coming down from your rock. But for me, I think I'm just going to scrunch it and stick it down on the top of my mountain. You might need quite a bit of glue on this bit here just to keep it from, or if you want it to come out and stand proud of the card, then that's also really fine. And don't worry about keeping perfectly within the line of your mountain that you've drawn, because it's quite nice to experiment and come out of the lines that you draw for yourself. Nothing has to be perfect. I think I might use some of this sheep's wool that I found. A bit of texture. Maybe when you're out for a walk, you could maybe use some twigs and then turn those into little trees at the bottom of the mountain. And the colour for this bit, red. There we go. What do you think? So that's the start of my magic mountain, and now it's time to make the climber. So you can be imaginative, you can draw a person, or you can draw a little animal or a monster. So let's just clear up some of this mess, put it all out of the way. I'm going to pop my mountain aside just to dry. And then I'm going to use a recycled tea box, because again it's sort of like quite hard, well, thicker paper, so it's good to use because you're going to be pulling him up and down the mountain and he's going to be used quite a lot, so we want to make sure that he's nice and sturdy. Okay, so a little example, if you want to draw a climber quite quickly, a nice way to do it is by drawing triangles, and then you just cut out around the triangles after. So we can draw a head for the body, a big triangle under the body for his chest, and then triangles coming out for the arms, and then a little triangle for the hand. And then we want to think about how the arms are stretched when the climber's climbing, because they go in all sorts of different positions. And then again with the legs, maybe the climber's scrambling wide up a rock. Well, knees don't bend that way actually, they go this way. So I don't confuse you. A little triangle for the foot, and then the other leg. So very roughly there, you can see the form of a body almost happening. And then what you want to do is just roughly, not with the sewing scissors, cut around the shape that the triangles make. And then the climber, you can either colour it in with felt tip pens, you can paint them, use pencil crayons. So I'm just really roughly cutting out around the rough triangle shapes that I've made, just hinting at the form of a body. Now this climber is quite big, so you might want to think about the scale of the climber in comparison to the size of your mountain. So you might want to go a little bit smaller, but if you've made a massive mountain, then obviously the climber will need to be a little bit bigger. So don't worry about it too much being perfectly like a human, if that's what you've done. So there you go, you can see roughly the outline of the climber there that I've done by using simple triangle forms. Here we go. I mean, he's quite big for my mountain. So I think what I might do is, on my magic mountain, I think there is a magic creature. So I am going to make a little magic creature. So what I'm going to use is this card, and I'm just going to draw a simple shape. It can be a circle, it could be an oval, it could be a triangle, a square, it's up to you. And what you want to do is, once you've done one shape, flip it over and then draw around your card. Because what you're going to do, you're going to stick them together, and the rope for your climber is going to sandwich in between the two pieces of card. Okay, there we go, my recycled tea box is going to be a little magic climber. So there we go. So what I'm going to do is, I've got some wool here, but you can use string, whatever you like. And I'm just going to cut a big long length of the wool. And then I'm going to grab my sellotape. There we go. And I'm just going to stick the wool there with the sellotape in the middle of my magic man. And then I'm just going to grab some more PVA, or if you want to, you can use some Pritt stick. And I'm just going to glue the two pieces of card together to sandwich in the wool in the middle. Okay, there we go. And now it's time to decorate this little character. I might use some wool. I'm going to grab my PVA, slop it down all over. I might do, this is a bit fiddly, because I'm doing the front and back, but gluing both sides. And I think what I'm going to do is wrap the wool around and around. This is where you get messy fingers. But the messier the better, I say. Shows that you've been working really hard. But it doesn't matter if you run out, you can always cut a bit more and add it on. Right then, I think this monster needs some hands and feet and maybe a tummy. So I'm just going to grab some more felt and I'm going to cut out a round circle. And I am going to use the glue, and that is going to be a nice tummy for it. There you go. If anything starts to come off your mountain once it's dry, just touch it up with some glue at the end and then it'll all stick, because at the moment it's all a bit wet. So you can neaten it up at the end. And let's have some little feet. Maybe he's got some woolen feet. Maybe he floats on a magic cloud. So let's put him on a magic cloud so he's not actually climbing, he might float to the top. Yeah. Okay. A little bit more glue. There you go. Right, so I am going to use some googly eyes. If you want to, you can cut out some pieces of coloured card. Oh, his magic cloud's fallen off. You might have to sellotape that on somehow. It might be an idea to let your little character, your little climber, dry a little bit before you actually start letting him climb high on your mountain. What do you think? So this next stage is a little bit tricky because we're going to have to use something quite sharp to poke a hole through this thick card so that the string from your climber can thread through to the back. And then what you're going to be doing is you're going to be pulling on the climber and pulling on the string so it can go whoop, floating, floating all the way up to the top. What I'm going to do is I've got a sharp pencil and I'm going to put the blue tack just behind the point where I'm going to be poking it through with the pencil. So it's going to go right at the peak of the mountain through the card. There we go, give your pencil a bit of a twist and then you can see that you've made a nice big hole, big enough for the size of the string to go through. There. So what we're going to do is thread this wool through to the back of the card. So it's the rope that your magic climber is going to use to climb up the mountain. So here we are with the final magic mountain and my little floating character, and I'm just gonna pull him on the string up to the top of his mountain so he can join all the other clouds and float up there really happily. And then if I want to, you can come on an adventure back down the mountain again, just pull him back and he's ready for a new adventure. So thanks so much for joining me. Keep an eye out for tomorrow with a travelling tombola workshop with Charlotte. Thanks very much.